Good evening, family. Welcome to another edition of Thorough Black Talk with your sister Keisha, your brother Tad, your brother Ashe SJ. Will be joining us shortly with our weekly uh, input from brother Flavius Jones, and we have a special guest with us from Africans on the Rise. Sister Marcia will be joining us also this evening as we get into this topic of reparations. And all of the chatter that has been going on social media and various platforms and speaking rooms and all that. So tonight we're going to get into that. Also some things that have been happening in the news. So today is New York's birthday. New York is 234 years old today. It also was one of the largest slave ports in this country. Excuse me. In fact, oftentimes a lot of enslaved Africans were leased out here in New York. Um, in New York, you didn't buy, well, the enslavers, they didn't buy boatloads, if you will. They bought individuals at the auction block down on Wall Street and other places here in New York. But what sticks out to me is um, the history of New York and many other major cities to speak of in this country were major slaveholding um, ports. People coming in and out of the continent and also traded with Britain in the Caribbean and in South America as well. In fact, there is a story of a 6 year old who was leased out 8 different times to 8 different plantations or family holdings, as they call them now, here in New York, and particularly in the Brooklyn area, what is now known as Brooklyn. Um, One family that sticks out is the Vanderbilts. We have to do in depth research study in the cities and states that we reside because as the conversation for reparations continue to grow, and this is nothing new, going back to um, Callie House, going back to Queen Mother Moore, going back to so many, William Monroe Trotter, who spoke about reparations and repairing of Black people. So this is nothing new. Unfortunately, newer generations who haven't been exposed to this legacy in the fight for reparations believe that it is new. And so oftentimes I go into these speaking spaces and I pretty much just stay and listen because, again, I am a proponent of intelligence and I am not of the combative nature to destroy something that has momentum. I do know how to co opt it and use it for my benefit. So that's something that all of us who are serious in this fight need to understand. I always say intelligence is very, very, very important. So we have to discuss that. As I mentioned, William Monroe Trotter, his father was, I believe, the first Black postmaster general, I believe. So he had an understanding of how government worked, and he was no nonsense. He didn't bend, he didn't fold, and people like Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois and others really got on his damn nerves. In particular, Booker T. Washington, because Booker T. Washington was of the mindset that if you would just hold your own, keep your head down, and do for self, you would be all right. Well, history proved him to be a liar because Black people around this country built enclaves of wealth and prosperity. However, it was all destroyed. So that commentary of just being quiet and do for self, that mantra does not work, right? Then you had people like W.E.B. Du Bois, who would often say that, we have to work within the confines, appeal to the moral consciousness, if you will, of said society. But at the same time, he understood that Black people needed to be armed, right, and take care of themselves. His message and his approach rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And I always encourage people to re examine W.E.B. Du Bois and his position as far as Black people are concerned. So then you had people like, I'm talking in the same time period. Now we went through William Monroe Trotter and W.E.B., Booker T, and then you had, the Marcus Garveys of the world, who came in and saw destruction and was able to build a serious movement right here in New York, was the headquarters for the UNIA in the United States. And then other chapters developed throughout the South and throughout the Midwest, and then through South America, Cuba, and other places. That too is a story that, I encourage um, real researchers and history buffs to re-examine that movement, to see what William Monroe Trotter and WEB was talking about as it relates to that said movement. William Monroe Trotter, and shout out to the big brother Mike K. Grace. That's one of his favorites that I know. But, he again was no nonsense. He didn't believe that we should fold, and he didn't believe that we should compromise in any way. And so I believe William Monroe Trotter died at the age of 62 on his birthday, if I'm not mistaken. But he was clear, kind of like Martin Delaney was, in how Black people, in particular Black men, should move. And that message has become watered down throughout the years that I can see. And so we have to reinvigorate that message because right now, and last week, shout out to Brother Omar Wali for coming in and chilling with us last week. And he brought up some points, that I really didn't get into because I wanted to keep focus on the film project that he's working on. But some of the things that he mentioned, as far as millennials, Gen Zs, and now Generation Alpha, they don't have the barriers, if you will, that others before them had. But I disagree. It's just manifested differently. And because there isn't a history context in the development of these three generations, um, they are more vulnerable to deception and destruction if they are not careful. And it is proven to be so, in these social media spaces. Shout out to Dr. Iya Ajiwa too. She be in these rooms also with me, just listening and just hearing, what people are talking about. You have people who want to uh, denounce their lineage. You have people who are re-identifying themselves. Well, when you do this in the midst of a particular movement, it can change the legal landscape because now you are changing the landscape of your case. And now we start from scratch. We start from scratch. One of the things that I learned, and that's why the majority of the people that I hang out with are either law enforcement or military intelligence. And I do that for a particular reason because these are apparatuses that we must have a clear understanding of and how it operates in order for us to encroach upon the enemy and to destroy them. Believe it or not, these are the people that hold the keys to all of that. So, I would employ all of you, if you can, to learn about military science, to learn about warfare and how it is used and different mechanisms of warfare. So, hopefully tonight with our guests, Brother Black and Sister Marcia, can give us some insight. Because, and shout out again to Sister Marcia, she and I go, we converse back and forth about this very issue. She coming, well, I don't want to talk about all that until she gets in here. So we gonna wait for a minute. I see my brother Tad is on the check-in. He'll be back in a few minutes. Brother Ashe is on assignment right now. So I don't think he'll be able to join us later on. So we'll have Brother Tad, Brother Black, and Sister Marcia on the check-in. Shout out to Sister Joyce and Brother Monty, always on the check-in. What's good with y'all? Hope all is well. Sister Joyce and Brother Monty, they know how I like to study this military thing for real. They got my secrets over there, so I ain't telling y'all nothing. Sister Farnessa, shout out to you. Always good to see you. Hope all is well with you and your family. Yes, is it Anderson Cooper yes, he is. Yes, he is. His mother is Gloria Vanderbilt. So, and the Vanderbilts, being a Dutch family, was one of the first settlers of Brooklyn. So, that's why it's very important, that you learn the history of where you reside. Because also, as we mentioned last week, a lot of our family, our ancestors, were transported across states, across counties, across countries. So I want everything from everybody. I'm leaving nothing on the table, and I'm leaving no stone unturned, and everybody gonna get the smoke. Everybody, from the continent to here, everybody's gonna get it. Because I know, and I know Brother Tad knows for sure, his family's legacy or our family's legacies. So my family, we don't want no apology, and we don't believe in forgiveness of any sort. So and I can speak for my brother Tad too. We ain't rocking with that. What's good with you, Brother Tad? How you feeling?
I'm all right. A little tired and fatigued, a little discombobulated. I've been burning the candles at both ends.
I see you had a good chop up last night
Oh
on
yeah,
OG
yeah,
Wisdom Podcast. I hope y'all was able to catch that when they went live last night. It was real nice.
Oh, thank you, sis. Thank you. And just for the record, if y'all ain't got no money for me, y'all can just spray Black Lives Matter in the middle of my street, and I'll be happy. Of course, I'm joking. But yeah, we had a good time last night. It was good, building with the brother Styles P, and of course, always good with my brother C Gutter, and it was a dope energy. The brother Sky Zoo came through last night. He's a rapper from the hood also. I had the brother Che Black doing the filming for me. Him and his team. We had such a good time. My brother who facilitated the spot, he worked on the Yusef Hawkins documentary, A Storm Over Brooklyn. So it was just a nice camaraderie, nice building session. Talking about the police situation. I'm not sure if you saw the video where he was arguing with the cop for roughing up a young sister.
Yes, I did see that.
Yeah. So we discussed that.
Okay.
Discussed, of course, health, juice bars, growing up in the streets. His history, our history with Biggie. Me knowing him before the music, him doing songs with Biggie. His relationship with DMX. Being able to work with DMX.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good energy. It was definitely a good energy.
That's what's up.
I've been burning the candle at both ends, sis. Oh my God, I can't tell you how fatigued I am, and still got more to go. But it's definitely been a good, productive week. I have to say that. You know,
That's
definitely
what's
have to
up.
say that.
That's what's up. I know how you feel, brother. I know how you feel. I gotta now prepare for an honor ceremony for Dr. John Henry Clark this weekend. So now I gotta prepare for that. I got the grandson coming tomorrow. My Earth Day was this past weekend.
That's right.
So
Happy belated Queen Day again, sis.
thank you, brother. I met up with some, young entrepreneurs, and we had some great conversations about their brand and how to take their brands to the next level. One of the vendors, he was very appreciative of the information that I was able to give him to navigate the apparel industry, um, to stave off some of the costs that are increasing. So he was very appreciative of that information and gave me some product. And it's just sad that people who are in this industry do not um do not seek out those of us who know the game behind the iron curtain,
Right.
to give reasonable costs to their consumers so that they have consumers forever. You can play the same game that Walmart plays. You just don't know how the industry works. And you don't know how to reach out to persons like myself who can help you navigate through that. So I try, but it is what it is. You want to go the hard route? All right. That's why you will never reach the levels of a Target or Walmart because you refuse to listen. So, like I always say, if the Urugu could pay me great sums of money to do it, and I could give it to you for free, and you still don't want to listen, you deserve what you get. So again, shout out to those vendors who were able to, grab that information and use it for their benefit, for sure. So, and then on my Earth Day, this past weekend, I had a great time with, the ladies of SWAP took me out to eat, along with some other Leos who were in the group. Shout out to all Leos. I'm Team Leo for real. You know, I don't care what you heard. We straight about ours. And a lot of people, you know, they don't like Leos. They say we too rough, we complicated. Well, that's what a lion and a lioness is. We play no games. We don't attack for sport. We attack to kill. Period. It is what it is. So if you are involved with a Leo, I'm gonna tell you one thing for certain. That is the most loyal person you will ever have in your corner. But when you betray a Leo, it could be the most deadliest move you make. Because like the animal itself, we will sit upon the prod, wait and wait and wait until you're weak enough and we will destroy you. So that's just a fact. That's just how we are. Point blank in a period. That's why my husband always say, I don't mess with my wife. I don't want no trouble. For real, for real. But anyway, shout out to all the Leos out there. This is our season, and this was, the time when we must be our best. Shout out to Brother Magnetic Peace Tyson. Good to see you on the check-in. Brother Ray Ray, BK William Mackey History Club. If you missed it yesterday, once Ray Ray posted on YouTube, I will repost it on the Thorough Black Talk Facebook page. You can catch the last episode of Community Cop also on that page. And any other things that we are doing, I'm going to post this weekend's Zoom meeting, excuse me, on Dr. John Henry Clark. It is a 2-day event, Saturday and Sunday. I will be on for Sunday at around 2 o'clock. I couldn't do Saturday because I got too many things going on, so it's just impossible. But we'll make sure you get all of that information. Now, Brother Tad, I don't know if you've heard, but or have seen this video of a police officer who was detaining a alleged suspect, if you will, but at the same time, his aggression was at a level where he couldn't control himself. And so another officer tried to stop him, and he turns around and he chokes her. Check this out.
That is when another officer intervenes and tugs at the sergeant's belt, removing the superior officer from the situation. But the sergeant lunges for the female officer's neck, his hands eventually falling toward her shoulders.
You touch me again. Get the off.
The disturbing body camera footage led prosecutors in Florida to charge police last week with assault and battery on an officer. By the time Sunrise Police Sergeant Police arrives at the squad car, the suspect is handcuffed and in the vehicle.
Look at me. You want to play games? You ever get disrespectful with my officer? I will remove your soul from your body.
That is when another officer intervenes and tugs at the sergeant's belt, removing the superior officer from the situation. But the sergeant lunges for the female officer's neck, his hands eventually falling toward.
So again, you have an officer who is so out of control, or sergeant, excuse me, who is so out of control that another officer grabs him off of a suspect who is already detained. He then turns around and puts his hands on her throat. Another officer now. I say all this to say that when we first started Thorough Black Talk, our first broadcast, we talked about white aggressionist groups. And I mentioned how, these groups are weeding out the weak ones. Those who are not on code are going to be dealt with. And that's why you had Proud Boys and Boogaloo Boys fighting Antifa and back forth. That's why. This is a clean house movement they got going on. And if you're not on code, they coming for you. So here, is just continuation from what I said. He's so out of control, he can't even stop himself. But I didn't hear any law enforcement groups advocating for the female officer who was choked by the sergeant.
Or denounced his behavior. Now, as I sat here and listened, I'm not familiar with this recent story, but this does sound extremely familiar. Extremely familiar. I believe that this incident happened before, where an officer tried to intervene with another cop being too aggressive with their suspect. And the cop took it in his hands to choke the subordinate. And this is crazy. But now this is blue on blue crime. Imagine what we have to deal with on a regular basis that's not recorded, or you have a crowd of cowards just witnessing it, and it's your word against the cops. And their favorite line is, well, they resisted arrest, or they swung at me, and all that kind of madness. It's just crazy. But
it is what it is. And now, all of these law enforcement agencies are being outed for bad behavior. Here's another one where this correction officers allow male officers to rape female inmates.
Those deputies, for basically a day, decided to completely ignore the rapes they saw in front of them. They decided to ignore the fact that male inmates were walking around with guard keys going inside of women's cells in order to rape them. They ignored it. They're still working there. The suit alleges that after the incident, the women who complained were punished by jail staff. Once again, indicative of their complicit action by protecting and covering this crime up. There was another lawsuit filed June 21. 20 women listed as plaintiffs. The women also claimed the alleged attack by male prisoners went uninterrupted for hours. Women were harassed, sexually assaulted, threatened, and completely terrified. The DOJ has to investigate. These people have to be arrested, not just Lowe, not just the sheriff, but everybody who was involved in this. This is a mass rape. Jail guards get bribed. They give keys to male inmates in the jail. So the male inmates can go to the other side of the jail and rape the female inmates in the facility. Clark County Sheriff Jamie Knoll and former jail officer David Lowe and other unknown jail officers. They're at the center of a civil rights lawsuit. He gets $1,000 bribe in order to allow male inmates to rape female inmates. The entire shift was in on it. You see, the place where the cell was located is actually under 24-hour surveillance being watched by deputies. Those deputies, for basically a day, decided to completely ignore the rapes they saw in front of them. They decided to ignore the fact that male inmates were walking around with guard keys going inside of women's cells in order to rape them. They ignored it. They're still working there. The suit alleges that after the incident, the women who complained were punished by jail staff. Once again,
here you go again. Bad behavior. Nobody's gone. Nobody's in prison. You could now, male inmates were given keys, allowed to go to the other side of the prison to rape female inmates. Now, guess who was getting raped?
Sisters.
See what I'm talking about?
The black women, of course.
Now, where are all these supposed good correction officers to speak out against this behavior? They don't. They operate in the same manner as street gangs. It's no different. And so when I hear people big up law enforcement in the way that they do, who are you talking about? Who are you talking about? What you talking about? Identify, please. Don't group everybody as we all good. Support the police. Where's all that rhetoric at? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? This is a crime. That has been
a heinous crime.
A heinous crime committed. Well, I guess they were allowed to get away with it because nobody went to prison. You know, this broadcast TYT is reporting that, you know, now the Department of Justice need to get involved. No, they don't. Where is the state prosecutor at? Where's the Attorney General for the state of Indiana at? What you talking about?
Where's the advocacy groups? The inmate advocacy groups, family advocacy groups, women advocacy groups. This is crazy. I mean, because crime, like littering is a crime, but this is a felony and it's one of the most, it's up there with murder. It's right up there with murder.
I say all that to say, you know, we're moving right along because I want things to be identified, you know, the same way they do us. Now, this brawl takes place in California, right? In LA. Latinos going crazy. Hitting each other with crutches. So here we go with some Latino on Latino crime, but I don't hear nobody on none of these mainstream media, you know, platforms saying that the way they do with us. Where is the rushing of law enforcement to Latino communities to pull all their men out and lock them up?
We won't see that. We won't see that. We always have to be vilified. That's why I really don't like to use the term black on black crime. As Dr. Khalil Gibran Muhammad told us in his book, The Condemnation of Blackness, they had to attribute crime to black people to justify their treatment of us. So when you say black on black crime, black is an adjective. You are already giving crime a description. You're giving it a personality. You're giving it a life. Black on black crime. So it's automatically associated with our blackness. Nonetheless, they never call it Latino on Latino, white on white, Asian on Asian. It's just black on black crime to plant that seed in your subconscious of black being associated with criminals.
Exactly.
So
And
we
this is what I
unfortunately
always say.
adopt a criminal behavior in almost everything we do, whether we're talking about music or entertainment or just our overall day-to-day personality, you know, on how we deal with one another and how we talk to one another. Those of us that don't know any better, we act like criminals. Even people in law enforcement, as we see, you know, it's just a shame. So that's why I don't like to necessarily use the term black on black crime,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
sometimes you got
Because
to
they're
use it to talk to the
criminalizing,
lady.
as you said, they criminalize the entire race when they do that.
Yes,
Even like you said, in us dealing with each other,
yes,
we already have a criminal mindset with dealing with each other. Everybody is suspect to each other,
yep.
thanks to mainstream media. But no other groups have to go through that.
We
So again, no other groups can grandfather clause themselves onto our suffering. It is not the same.
oh yeah. It's definitely not the same. Did you see the Asian lady say that abortion is worse than slavery?
No, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, you could probably do a quick search. An Asian lady says abortion is worse than slavery, and it just kills me when people talk about what is worse than slavery. I don't think people have an inkling of an idea of what slavery was or still is. If you're aware, if you're looking with your third eye, you know, some people think it was just cotton being picked and a couple of lashes on the back if you wasn't picking it fast enough. You know, you just didn't get the best food. But what did white folks call it? That peculiar institution was so much deeper. Yeah, they used to like to call it that peculiar institution because it was peculiar on how it worked, how they operate, how they function, the psychology of those who are supposed to be in power and those who are supposed to be subordinates, just on the basis of skin color. That the dumbest of the dumb could be in charge of the smartest of the smart, just based on skin color. And not only in charge, but you can do what you want and there was no repercussions. There was no consequence. You can harm children. You could sell children. You could trade them off like you trading pound puppies or something like that. And these are human lives we talking about. And then we definitely not talking about the consumption of the human flesh being boiled down, skin being made into leather and body parts being made into furniture. They never talk about that. But all that was under that peculiar institution. So when we talk about reparations, we got to peel back the layers. And it's going to get funky when we dig deeper because we're going to find a lot of corpses and people who everybody celebrate realize that they were just some sickos, sick in the heads. And we see it now. These Karens and Brads that run around right now, as crazy as they are, imagine if they had the authority to just walk around with this insanity. And many of them don't realize that those days are over. We've always fought back. We've always fought back. But now we see that we fight back because we fight back on real time. We fight back on live. Like the sister that bust that old man upside his head when she was going in the restaurant. You know, nobody would want to believe that. And I always got to go back to Frederick Douglass, his book, The Autobiography, The Life and Times of Frederick Douglass, when he talked about he was an unruly slave. Many of us may find that hard to believe, but this is his words, you know. And they brought in somebody who was supposed to be able to break slaves, named Mr. Covey. And they brought him in to break Frederick Douglass because he was so rebellious. But Frederick Douglass ended up beating Mr. Covey's tail. And Frederick Douglass thought for certain he would be dead. He thought they were going to kill him. But the fragile ego of the Urugu, he did not tell anybody that he got beat by a lowly Negro. So Frederick Douglass' life was spared because of the ego of Mr. Covey, wanting to keep his reputation intact, not telling anybody that Frederick Douglass dare raise his hand and beat him up. And because I always got to tell people, they're not as tough as they act. They're just not. I'm sorry.
Facts.
I'm sorry. They're just not. They tough in the movies, yeah. Put them in the movie, yeah. They could save the world. They could fly around the world. They could cool off the core, and yeah. That only works in the movies.
What you say, Brother Tad? They can cool off the.
Yeah, they cool off the core of the globe. You know, there's journey to the center of the earth and just use their super breath to cool lights. That only works in the movies. My brother Blacksmith.
Yo, what's up, Taddy-o? What's up, Sister Keisha?
What's good, Brother Black? How are you?
Right. Oh, I'm good. I'm waiting. I'm biting at the champ. Just waiting. Excuse me, champing at the bit. I said it the other way around. How y'all doing? Peace.
We chilling. It's always good to have you in the house, brother.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Hey, I wanted to just say one thing before we go into the next topic, if y'all don't mind.
Go ahead, brother.
Tad, you had mentioned earlier, maybe about 10, 15 minutes ago, about you kind of remember a situation similar to the police being abusive toward us. There was a case maybe about 10 years ago in Buffalo, New York, where the sister was a police officer. She was the sergeant. And
right. Mike Grace just put that in the chat, Black.
Right.
Okay.
Carol Horn. Her name is Carol Horn.
Okay.
And she had tried to stop the white, almost the same situation. I don't know if the dude was cuffed. He was a black dude, and I believe the sister knew him. She was the sergeant, and the cop was the
subordinate.
Subordinate. And so when she tried to stop him from beating the guy because he was already subdued, he beat the dog crap out of her, and she got fired. Now she recently settled a few years ago. But that's the case that reminded me of what y'all was talking about before I came in. So
right, and thank you, because I knew I heard a similar case before, not necessarily this one Sister Keisha brought up. But like I said, it sounds familiar, but you know, they have a pattern. You know, wash, rinse, repeat.
Yeah. So just
that
like
makes
you said,
me wonder who's running these psych exams to get these officers in then, or is this just them
other
being
nut
on
jobs?
code?
Other nut jobs. That's who's doing these psych evals.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
But Brother Blacksmith, I was thinking this week, I said, you know what? We are always vindicated on this show, no matter what's said, no matter how far-fetched it might seem and sound. You know, Brother Blacksmith said in the winter, watch for them solar flares. Watch for them solar flares. And damn if we ain't burning up. You did this, Blacksmith.
I was about to say, it's his fault. It's always the Bronx.
Hey, how come I'm getting blamed every time now?
It's always the Bronx. Now y'all see, we ain't lying over here. But
hey, we the most north.
Right, exact, brother. Right, exact. And also, you know, everything that you said about Hunter Biden and all these people getting rounded up, and I don't know, but y'all don't know this, but Black be sending me stuff like almost every day. So I have to put it on another computer because I do understand how these people don't want us to have certain information and they can attach viruses to certain things.
Yeah.
So I send it to another computer that I have, and then I go and read it. So Black be like, did you read that yet? No, because I got to get to the other computer. Didn't I tell you that already? You see, it's the Bronx. They don't listen.
Yeah, right.
You know I love you, brother. You know
I love y'all Black.
Always. So I see Sister Marcia's in the building with us. And she right on time. She right on time.
How y'all doing, family?
All right.
Thank you for having me again. How is everybody?
Thank you for joining us.
I got to tell y'all something. Her name ain't what you saying it is, Keisha. Her name is Marcia. I'm going to keep it there.
All right.
Blacksmith, I know you speak Creole.
I don't mess with her. I said, all right, we good. I don't want no problems.
Peace, sister.
How you doing, brothers?
I'm chilling.
All right.
Chilling.
All right.
So Marcia, before you came in, I was telling the people, you know, you and I conversed back and forth, you know, on this topic of our people, progression, sometimes reparations, sometimes separation. We converse on, a myriad of different things, but it's all relative to what we're speaking about tonight. I said in the opening that, I often enter these speaking spaces, whether it's on Clubhouse or Twitter. I enter these spaces and I'm listening to people just spew nonsense out. Number one, when I hear certain people speak, the level of understanding of history is minute, but you can't tell these people that. And, unfortunately, it's causing more problems. And we don't need more problems. We don't need no more problems. We
need solutions.
Right.
We need applications and solution. Enough chit chat, and let's start working and building and doing what we got to do. Because it's not for us anymore. It's for 100 years later, and we're still dumb thinking about the individual, thinking about the us factor, and it's not for us. It's for our great grandchildren. That's what we got to sit there and think about.
I'm glad you said that, because in these spaces, oftentimes they do not. They're talking about the now.
Mm-hmm.
And only the now. See,
mm-hmm.
I got a little bit more patience than Brother Tad. Brother Tad gonna get him like 3 minutes, and he's out. You hear me? I stay in because I told you always the goal is to use intelligence.
That's true.
And a lot of these groups, spaces, and the like can be easily co-opted.
That's true.
You can hear it in what's being said. And those of us who know can easily take this over. The problem is there isn't a collective to do so. We can shut it down overnight, but there isn't a collective to do so. Now, in some of these spaces, they talk about, Africans not fighting on behalf of those who were captured and enslaved. Then they talk about, some African leaders who were involved in the slave trade. Both are true.
Right.
Both are true, but you have to give it context.
Right. So, and the similarity, the quick similarity is we have drug dealers in our community selling drugs to our people. That's real quick. We don't have to sit there and try to figure it out. People do shit to their own people all the time. And pardon my French, I'll try to hold my tongue a little bit.
Let it go, sis. Let it go. Don't worry about it. But we always had a resistance, number one. In fact, you had African rulers who were fighting colonial powers who were coming onto their lands and trying to enslave their people, right? Unfortunately, our folks don't know this. And so now you have a group of commentators on these social media sites who are talking about delineation, if you will, divesting themselves from the continent of Africa. That tells me you don't understand law, locally or maritime law. Because again, if we're fighting for reparations, we got to deal with maritime law. Because we were cargoed, transported on waters. That is international law, maritime law. So you don't turn over, you don't let any criminals off the hook in maritime law. Let me simplify this and what I mean before we move into this. Let's say, for example, all of us on this group right here are weed smokers, right? Now, you can do it in New York, you can do it in California, you can do it in Philadelphia, you can do it in Washington, D.C. In Florida, the four of us dock a boat. and that boat is taking us to Turks and Caicos. You are now on the waters, international waters. State law is nullified in international waters.
Mhm.
Why in the hell would I let any criminal off the hook? That is the British, the French, the Belgians, and everybody else who played a part in it, including some of these African heads of state, like what's the sister? Forget her name. In Tufi, out of Nigeria in the area in late mid 1800s, who built her fortune on the slave trade. I don't let nobody off the hook. You understand? Her own people was fighting against her because they knew it was wrong. You understand? But she was a part of a monarch and tried to wipe out her own citizens. In doing so, I'm gonna pull that up a little later so everybody can see that. But I'm just saying, you can't negate your lineage because you're in the now. Your family may have ended up in Haiti, but you probably started somewhere else. You understand what I'm saying? I just said before you came on that there was a story of a 6-year-old girl who was enslaved in New York in the 1700s, who was leased out 8 times. That's before she was a teenager. She was leased out 8 times. And every time you was leased out, even though, let's say, Tad owned me, right? And Tad wanted to make some extra money, so he leased me out to Marcia. While I'm in Marcia's custody, I have to take her name. When I go back to Tad, then I take his name again. Now, Tad may lease me off to Black and die before I get back to him. This is how it worked. And that's why I'm saying it's very important that we understand local history and how the slave trade was operated, where our families ended up. Because in the archives, believe it or not, family, the information is there. They just know your dumb ass won't go read it. You understand what I'm saying? So I came here with Keisha. I ended up as so-and-so. You understand what I'm saying? I want everyone who contributed into my coming here, the enslavement of my family, and the leasing out of my family. Those who built the boats, everybody. We talk about maritime law here. Nobody's off the goddamn hook. That's why, what's her name? Brittany Griner is in trouble now. She doesn't understand maritime law. Can't do that. I don't give a damn if you smoking cannabis here. Then you in somebody else's waters. And that, family, is the law that precedes everything. State, federal, I don't care if you're dealing with the United Nations, none of it supersedes maritime law.
But can I get in on that, Keisha, real quick?
Go ahead, brother.
You know that right now, as we speak, there are 200 organizations who are giving out passports to all of the best example I could use with a name and a face that we all know here is Ghislaine Maxwell. She was the president or prime minister or whatever type of ruler she was of a place called Terramar, which didn't have an actual country, meaning that with that passport, she had sovereign immunity everywhere. Because she was a Terramarian. And basically it was a submarine company used to transport children underground and under countries to get them into the ports. And then they take them out through like some vacuum tube or whatever, where they're not actually touching the water so that they could unload them wherever they go at. So when you saying that, you know what I'm saying? You got to add those equations in there too, because whether we acknowledge it as legit or not, they doing it as we speak. Well, I can't talk about her in that case, but all the other 199 organizations that are doing the same thing. We don't know who's in it.
Got you. I just want to show y'all something real quick because as you mentioned that, Sister Keisha, the library, I don't be playing
Come
no
on.
games over here.
Come
Don't
on.
play no games over here. I'm serious about it. I'm
Go
serious
ahead,
about
Tina.
it. And this is for, I hope we got some Moors who are watching. You know, all of you, I hope you in the chat today because I got something for you.
She got that trouble face on, y'all.
I
You
got
gonna have
something
Richard
for you.
Bate get on here and tell us shut up.
Oh, that's my friend in Nevada.
That's right. Now, he got his own monarch. And where's the monarch, Marcia?
Nevada. A
Okay,
little
his
corner in
own
Nevada
country.
with 7 little people.
Are they sovereign or are they not?
They're sovereign.
Come on, Moors, where you at?
But listen,
Where you
but check
at?
this out. But y'all remember about 2-3 years ago when they was turning up in I think Seattle or Portland, one of the two, they had a little area called Chaz.
Mm-hmm.
Police just let them take it. They were sovereign for a good 3 weeks because they was cutting up and they was killing each other, all that. It was just crazy.
Yeah.
It was just bedlam. Yeah. So they knew about this happening. You see television shows about this kind of stuff all the time. And though they put it in sitcoms and make it look silly, it has an actual existence and existing.
Absolutely.
Dave Chappelle does a lot of skits on his own little country that he created, but we don't see these things. We just take everything for entertainment and not small little glimpses of lessons that are happening within them. So it's to our detriment that we are entertained.
They're dog whistles to one another,
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I explain to people why I watch The Walking Dead. I said, like Sister Marcia just said, there's little nuggets in there. And they're showing each other how to prep for doomsday when they talk about the quote unquote zombie apocalypse. But you see, the CDC has some policies about the zombie apocalypse. But if you ever watched The Walking Dead, you know that it was centered. The first or second season was centered around the CDC. How they created the zombie apocalypse. And I mean, it's just real because sure enough, as we talk about a zombie apocalypse, we look at the many jabs you got to take, for the Heineken virus and what we call it Mexican beer, right? Chinese virus, whatever you want to call it. Now they got this monkeypox thing going on. It's just a bunch of monkey business for the monkeypox. But they're introducing it to you slowly but surely. It's coming in mildly, real subtle, and then it's just gonna up the ante on you. And again, I got to go back to William Cooper's book, Behold the Pale Horse, because he talked about it. When he talked about the New World Order, and Brother Blacksmith, I'm quite sure you could attest. Remember, we were always thinking it was going to be a military takeover, guns and tanks coming through. That's why they got big highways by the projects, so they could bring the tanks through. Nah, but then you read that book, and he said, they're going to do it under the guise of a medical emergency.
But even in those little pamphlets that they used to give you on the 2 and the 3 train in Brooklyn,
the tree train.
On the tree or on the tree?
On the tree train. You don't know.
This one? Ça passe.
On the 3 train, going to Utica and East New York, they always feeded us with this information. It's those that really picked it up. Like, I know I'm on a train with 9 girls or more deep. I'm probably the only one keeping that pamphlet and coming home with it and reading it. All my sisters, they didn't care about that. Them crazy. I'm crazy out here. And you're just like, but isn't it something? Let's just read it. Like, why is it so bad to just read on something just to understand or understand something? But at that point, at 14 years old, you're just understanding, you're just absorbing information. And the sad part is our people truly do not want to absorb information no matter how you give it to them, no matter how you deliver it. They're just little fragile people that, oh my God, this is so scary. This is this is that. And to the detriment of our great-grandchildren. That's what it's a detriment of. And nobody's understanding that. Nobody's caring. They're only caring about this moment right now, how I can get gratified for this moment. And this is a sad state that we live in.
Man.
Very sad.
So you say that now. Let's move into this topic of reparations and who deserve it and who don't deserve it, and
We all deserve it.
how do we identify? What do we identify as?
Let me
We
address.
all deserve it. It's a global reparation for all African people. As long as you are identifying yourself as an African, you deserve this because you understand the fact that your ancestors somewhere in your bloodline suffered for you to stand right now. They suffered. They went through things that you can't even fathom going through right now because you're afraid to even read a book. Right now, that's too scary for you. Could you imagine what they were going through?
People don't even want to walk out in the heat.
So
They be
let
complaining.
me ask you a question real quick. Why have we learned from the very few victories that we gotten recently? For example, the Bruce Beach situation in Malibu. Because Malibu is like,
Expensive town.
Like 3-4 million starting. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? The smaller houses. Are we taking that case as a precedent and using that in order to get some land at least, so now we can start building on that land?
I kind of agree with you. Like those lands of Tulsa, those lands of Rosewood, those Seminole lands in Florida, all those lands that were burnt down, drowned, or anything like that, those are our lands. Those are our people's lands, right? And people should reclaim them. It is ours. You should do the due diligence if whatever the legal statutes that apply to California can continue to run through, because now this is close, right? They already had the names of people. Like when you're going through deep reparations, it's going to be more difficult, but you just claim a quantity of people. But these places where there are actual names to track back to, and I bet you the same thing happens on the continent too, right? Our brothers and sisters on the continent, they lost their lands, they lost their villages to a big developer that wanted to, oh, this land is sitting on some diamonds, kick those people out, all of those things. We can do it if we apply the work. It's out there. We're just being too lazy to do the work. I'm not an attorney, so I can't go out and do it, but attorneys, all you people that are claiming some type of alphabet, why don't your alphabet help get land? Because that's part of your task. That's part of your charge. Why are you part of an alphabet that does nothing for your people? Why do you pledge?
Now, when you say alphabet, do you mean FBA, ADOS, LGBTQ? Like, what alphabet group are you talking about? Let's get specific.
Let's.
I'm teasing.
I'm going with the Greek.
She talking about the cereal.
Yes.
The cereal?
Those people.
But real quick, what I wanted to add on too from Brother Blacksmith's question, because you made great points, sis. One of the things I was looking at on the surface level is our people are just straight up afraid and ignorant, because most of our people keep operating from this position of victimhood. Like Brother Blacksmith just pointed out, a recent victory right here, right now, in our lifetime, current events, not even history, current events. But we always operate from a place of victimhood. And then we get mad at other brothers and sisters who claim their independent sovereignty, like those of us who identify as we're free. Granted, as a group, we may not be free because our thinking is colonized, our thinking is victimized, but I think I can speak for all four of us when I say we are free thinkers. We operate in that capacity and not from a victim perspective. Granted, things are happening, and when we talk about the strategies to stop these attacks, but I'm not a victim. I'm not a victim. I have been victimized, but I am not a victim, because to identify as a victim means you operate in that space and you move as such. And I operate as a victor and not a victim. Y'all like that, right? Let me step off my soapbox.
That's beautiful, brother.
That's that Joel Osteen talk.
Hey,
That's that pastor talk right
You said that's a dope fiend talk. What you said?
Yeah.
Hey, can I make a proposal to us as a group? Can we figure out who was the second man in charge before Johnny Cochran passed away and get in touch with him and see if we could revive this somehow? Or do you think
Johnny
that
Gill?
Johnny Cochran?
Oh,
You on fire today, huh?
Hot mess.
look,
I
I'm
told you,
delirious,
Tad
man.
need a
I'm
nap.
exhausted.
Tad need a nap. He need a
I
nap.
don't even know how
He's
Gill
gonna
and
come
Cochran
out right
started
now.
their life.
I'm delirious right now. Y'all gotta pardon me.
You look. He remind me of one of my cousins. Every time he start cracking, I'll be like, "You on punishment? That's it. You gotta go sit down and take
And
a
how
nap."
you know when the kids need a nap when they start cutting up? Like you need
Time
a
out.
nap.
Can we find out how to go about that? I wouldn't know the first inroad, but
Well, I would ask Benjamin Crump.
come on, man.
What?
Mhm.
Yo, go to sleep.
Tad is
Go
on
to
timeout.
Go to sleep.
Tad is
Just go
on
to sleep
timeout.
right there. Don't even turn the camera on. Just go to sleep. Close your eyes.
See, now Tad is pulling out the Staten Island. He done left Brooklyn. He's pulling out the Staten Island. We can't rock with this. This cannot happen. I love my brother, but I get what he's saying.
Uh-huh.
And everything that he says about how we operate as people is correct. Legally, we are victims. And you should never give up that title. Because when you do, you kill your ability to fight in the court. You're not a victim. Why do you need to be repaired? From what? So what he's saying operationally is absolutely correct. In fighting for an amend of a reparation, we have to be victims.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
Our
That's why I
families
said
are
we've been
victims.
victimized.
Right.
Right.
And and to talk about when people in these Twitter spaces and other spaces begin to speak and they talk about how other ethnicities did not help Black people. That's not true.
Right.
That's not true. We talked about here a couple of months ago. We talked about Ida B. Wells and her at the World Fair in 1893 and Frederick Douglass. The U.S. did not get a pavilion for him. It was the nation of Haiti that got a pavilion for him. And the nation of Haiti faced all kinds of hell after that too. Go back to-
Occupation.
Let me tell you something.
Occupation right afterwards.
This can all be read in newspaper archives.
Yes.
Trust me, that's where I get it from.
Hey, Keisha, the Bolivar Rebellion was inspired by the Haitian Revolution in South America. Yeah, South America.
Fact.
Inspired directly from the Haitian Revolution.
It is said that the army gave them weaponry, right? Because at a particular time, Haiti was making weaponry. Haiti was making its own coins. Haiti was doing a lot of its own thing. And at that, it paid for each one of its quote unquote property of France so that France can leave it alone. And it paid for France's quote unquote property 3 times.
Reparations.
3 times.
We're talking reparations. Reparations. Yeah.
Exactly. And as you said, Black, even the slaveholders got reparations, right? Because they identified in the court as a victim. They suffered a loss. So that's what I'm saying. When it comes to legal language, we got to be very careful. And I'm hearing a lot of nonsense in these Twitter spaces and in these Clubhouse spaces that don't make no goddamn sense. And they are nullifying their argument before they even get to a court. You've already killed your argument. You don't think they're recording and listening to everything that y'all saying?
Right. Right.
Now,
Well,
I
I
do
hope they know I was
agree
joking
that
about painting the street for me.
this boy here, I'll tell you more, this man here, he gonna get a belt. Where the belt? Where is the belt? but family, I'm serious now. It's okay that we identify as separate tribes. There is no wrong in that. The problem is we're so busy fighting each other. That's how we got in this predicament in the first goddamn place.
Right.
Tribal beefs. Because if I got a tribal beef with Black and I capture his family, yeah, I'm selling them off. I don't care. We got beef. I don't care. So this is what I'm saying. We're falling into the same trick bag again.
Mm-hmm.
I do understand that everyone must be accountable in this fight. Meaning you, as Brother Ashe, who's on assignment tonight, always says the battlefield is where you stand.
Right.
You cannot expect to get a victory when you ain't in the war.
That's right.
That I agree with. Now, those who don't want to be a part of the war, kick rocks. Keep your mouth closed, but don't destroy.
Right. Don't stand in the way. Don't stand in the way. Don't throw up oppositions. Don't be banning for the other team. Just sit there. Just sit there, watch, keep your mouth shut, keep it moving, because the fight, again, is never for us. And if you don't want to win, your grandchildren are going to win. You know, these are the things, like, people come here, or people left places to come here for opportunities because they wouldn't fight where they were. They felt the fight where they were too great, and they just wanted opportunities with my head down, buckled up, and I don't know anything that's going on. But guess who's suffering? Your children. And if your children made it out clean and unscathed, your grandchildren, because someone is going to get hit with the systematic crap that you would not fight in your home country, and you're not fighting where you're standing right now. It's a big fight, and there's nothing wrong with fighting, but we can't fight when we're always operating from a place of fear, or they're going to get me, or this and that. No, we operate from a place of love. We're going forward with love. And if we can't put love first, or culture first, let's put our grandchildren first. Let's put our great-grandchildren first. Let's put ourselves, who will be here in 1,000 years again. Let's put ourselves first. Why is that so hard? Why is that a hard ask for people?
I tell you, mind control is a serious thing.
Yes, it is. And as Dr. Amos Wilson said, the fear, because the enemy controls the perceived benefits and consequences. And I say perceived, you know, because if you value what they value, that's just your perception, because I don't care about their value system. We have to identify our own value system, you know. So if they threaten us with something, oh, we'll take this away, we'll take that away, it don't bother us because we don't value that. But when you identify with their value system, you think of it as a consequence, right, as opposed to
if I don't get this, I ain't got a job no more. Oh my
right.
God, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna be broke. Yo, I bet you got somebody who loves you enough that would let you live in their home. I bet you got somebody that has a business that you could work for, because all the talent that you using for someone else, you could use in your own community. But you don't think like that. You're thinking that, oh, I gotta be under this type of structure because I got my degree here, and my degree says I'm supposed to work for ABC company, and ABC company could give two craps about you. ABC company don't like you, hit the door.
Look, the city ain't give a crap about you, because as a city employee, when we were working during COVID, we were praised as the everyday heroes. We were the saviors. And then once everybody got better, they said, all right, now stick yourself. Ain't that what Goldie told Pretty Tony in the Mac? Ain't that what he told him, Blacksmith? Now stick yourself. Now stick yourself again. Stick yourself again. And that's pretty much what the mayor came through and said.
Yeah.
De Blasio went out like that. Yeah, y'all are heroes. Y'all saved this mighty city. All right. Now stick yourself. And Eric Adams came in and said, yo, I'm upholding.
So the mandate was reinstated last week. How's that going up there?
What mandate?
What
I don't know.
mandate?
There was supposed to be a mask mandate reinstated back into New York in and outside buildings or something like that.
Who said
Mandate,
only
mandate.
only on the subways and buses, and nobody paying that no attention either.
I didn't
I
think so.
do.
I told y'all when
I
that
put
happened
my
in
scarf
Philly.
on all the time. Even before COVID times, I was putting a scarf on. The train's been too cold or weird people. You know, when I was working, the weirdos that would be on the train in the summertime, some of the boxes, some of the train cars are ice cold. Some of them have no people coughing on top of you. So
Everybody
even
dirty to me
before,
on the train.
I had
Everybody dirty.
my little summer scarf on, wrapping my face, like, get away. And plus, I didn't want to go to work. Hated my job.
But you know, now when I gotta go into the city, and I only go in a couple of days a week when I ride into the city, but I bike. I'm not messing with the subway. I'm not messing with the people. I bike.
You put in your health first.
And there you go. And I'm putting my health first. Everybody crazy. Mayor Adams won't get me killed on the goddamn subway.
I know that's right.
It's cool if you want to. Oh, we want full ridership back. Kick rocks. Ain't nobody getting on that train. Listen, I e-biking straight to the city. Vroom, I'm going. I ain't saying that day. Crazy.
I'm on the train. I'm the master avenger. I
See,
put my
he
mask
crazy.
on. I wait to fight crime in the spirit of black people. And whenever I see a crime being committed, I just do like the kids yell, "We outside!" And I spring into action.
Hey, you know,
on the train though.
You know Tad Young, because like if he was 5 years older, he would have said "World Star."
Word.
Oh Lord, don't put a battery in him. Why you do that? Why you getting him riled up? We trying to keep him calm. He gotta be calm. Black, don't get him riled up. But family, true indeed, you know, everybody must fight. And so I was saying something to Sister Marcia, I think earlier today or yesterday. I think it was today. But anyway, I was saying, as Sister said, Farnessa, she said they're fighting. They're just fighting us instead of fighting with us.
That's right.
That's a problem. That is a problem.
And that's why they need to be in the sidelines.
Exactly. So I said to Sister Marcia, you know, and Tad knows this too, I don't give nobody no goddamn breaks in the age of information. You walking around with a damn smartphone is no reason for you to be stupid. So I'm not giving nobody no passes anymore. You cannot say that you don't know what's going on. If you do, you deserve what you get. So stay over there with your foolishness, but don't come over here and try to destroy what we're doing over here. Don't do that. And so now that's why I say in these Twitter spaces, these Clubhouse spaces, people be talking reckless for real. They talking real reckless, especially, you know, to people who disagree with the commentary. They say a lot of foul stuff that if you wasn't behind a screen and on the street, you would get dealt with immediately. Because I don't tolerate nobody talking to me crazy. And I'm too old to scrap, but not too old to pull the trigger. I'm not playing.
I know that's right.
I ain't scrapping with nobody. My trigger game is on point.
I know that's right.
So just leave me alone. So again, I think it was you, Sister Marcia, who sent me a video of a sister who from South Africa. Is it right? Am I right?
Yeah.
Could be wrong.
Yeah.
Be out here. And she was talking about her experience with Africans in America.
Yes.
Right? And how she got to learn about Africans in America. Did you see that video, Brother Ty?
Yeah, you sent it to me. Yes.
All right, good.
Can you show
Talk about the television?
Yeah, I'm gonna get it right now. I'm gonna pull it up right now. Here we go, right here.
There she go.
Hold on, family.
One of the most common questions I'm getting is, you African, how did you not know how life is in America? And how did you want to move here so bad? Did you not know? Did you not know? And the answer to that is no, we do not know. I can only address this question and answer it from a South African's point of view. Television in South Africa, I believe, came in the 70s. That means that a lot of us didn't get television till mid 80s, 90s. Again, I can only speak from a village girl's point of view, those of us who grew up in a village. If this television came in the 70s, it didn't immediately come to us native South Africans. So that took probably another few years or a decade. So 80s, early 90s, that's when we have our first TVs. So you're talking about late 80s, 90s of South Africans who understand apartheid, Jim Crow, who are living in the experience, who are living in that depression and that horror and that treachery, right? And so when we open up TVs for the first time and we see Bill Cosby, when we open up our TVs and we see R&B, and we see beautiful African Americans, we see actors, we see them being police in police shows, they are being represented as major parts in movies. That's what we saw. We know nothing about birth. We know nothing about Birth of a Nation. We know nothing about what you guys are going through. What we are seeing from a South African's perspective is that, oh my God, these Black Africans made it. Look at them doing it. Of course I want to be like that. I'm tired of this apartheid here. It looks like African Americans got their stuff together in the US. You have to remember colonization, racism, imperialism, all of that. It will never expose itself. We have to go out of our way to expose it. So no. The media we are consuming, African-American media, is nothing but positive things about America. It is not up until rap music do you realize that there's something going on in America, right? But even in rap music, then you watch the award shows, and then all of a sudden the rappers are dressed nice, they're talking nice, they have all these multi-dimensional, diverse friendships and stuff like that. And you're like, oh, maybe rap music is just art. It's not depicting reality. So there are these factors that I'm. One of the most common questions I'm getting is, you African, how did you not know?
So again, family, she's talking about how her introduction into our life. The same thing with here. You have Black people here who don't even know what a passport is, first of all. Ain't got one, ain't been nowhere, but they feel that people on the continent live in huts and run around and spear lions. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous.
Or it's feed the children, or this and that. And now with all the African children are dancing everywhere. So what they need, we're gonna send all these donations to, give them more food, more clothes, and then all the funds is going to some big brother somewhere that's not caring for the people. Until you get on the ground, boots, I have yet to be fortunate to get on the continent, but I know my experience in Haiti. I know my experience in the Dominican Republic. I know what it looks like to be in a different country with different thoughts. In Haiti, people there didn't get, not everyone had TVs. Like I would go into the countryside, there was no TV. I don't think, like my home in the country, I think we just bought a TV last summer because my mother went down there for the summer. We didn't have TVs in the country, maybe in the city, but TV is not a major consumption for people in other countries as it is here in America. In America, every home has to have 1 or 2 TVs. Some bedrooms have 3 TVs. It's ridiculous the amount of media, silly media you're consuming. You're playing video games, you're doing this, you're doing that. You're not doing anything constructive with your time. And not to pull away from what the sister is saying, but it is very interesting how we don't go for the deep detail. Like you and I were saying, like when she came here, why didn't she find out what was going on here? When people travel in, why don't they find out? One, because they come with their head down for opportunities. And 2, unfortunately, I can speak for when my parents came here. There was an organization called Manpower that was on the ground, right? Apparently, speaking to elders, Amos Wilson had a play in this organization too at some point, but not I coined in his name to say that I think the idea was there. It just never pushed forward, that we need to speak to these people about the conditions on these grounds. But it never solidified itself the way it should have. And because there is no network of people who have a good understanding of what's going on these shores to tell people, and even for them to relay back to us what's going on your shores, how can we help you? How can we make this a partnership for the survival of future generations? Because you working right now, you just gonna, okay, I'm gonna get a house and this and that. What are you gonna do later on? Because you're gonna die. So what are you gonna do? At some point, we all die. So we have to work and do something sustainable for other people, not for ourselves.
Well, let me chime in on that. I lived in Africa. My parents is from Honduras, so I have a lot of experience being outside of this country, even though I was born in New York. And what I see is that dynamic, and me and you have spoken about this before, Marcia, is that we don't understand that, first of all, Africans and people from the Caribbean, even South America, even though it's all one America, but if you want to call it Turtle Island. But as far as that's concerned, we have to understand our cultures are different. Most people who emigrate here to this country are before they leave the embassy and get on the plane to come to this country, they're shown movies like Menace to Society, South Central, New Jack City, and these are how them niggas act. So when you go over there, be aware of them. So we got to understand that part of the dynamic too. Malcolm X was somebody who was well traveled through his short career as the spokesperson for the Nation of Islam. He always maintained that his biggest enemy in the U.S. government as a department in and of itself was the USAID. So we got to understand that the propaganda is strong, and for people who want to come here and don't want to be identified as African American because they already come from a country and a culture, they're not. The only ones that's going to see through all that are the chosen ones like us, or free thinkers, as Brother Tad said a few minutes ago.
I won't negate that brainwash that people experience. What I'm saying is, when they arrive, when they come to organizations, like whatever organizations that are out here that helps them find employment, especially when they're going to their own brothers and sisters to find employment, to get their right paperwork, to do everything to become a quote unquote American citizen, to do all of those things. Those organizations have a position to help these people understand what is going on the ground here, because they are going to have children that are going into schools. These people have children that are going into school, but these organizations, they function in a way where, nope, we're just going to give them employment, we're going to give them healthcare, we're going to give them everything that they need to sustain themselves without any history about the land that they live in. When you enter a new land, anytime I go back home to Haiti or anywhere I travel to, I try to find out about the people. You cannot not find out about the people. If you don't find out about the people, when the people are in trouble, you won't know who to help. And of course, you're going to help the person that neocolonialism has told you is your best friend. But in your home country, you knew that person wasn't your best friend, but you couldn't see that person because that person was a reflection of you, right? They have a bigger umbrella over them on an island or in a continent. But here, the umbrella is shorter. We can tell you, we can show you. When you're getting killed by a cop in Haiti, the cop looks like you. When you're getting killed by a cop here, the cop does not look like you. There's a greater understanding that can come if we operate in a position that we're thinking for our future and not for our immediate.
Well, Sister Marcia, you made some great points. But one of your questions, one of your statements is that these organizations that are helping these people have an obligation to let them know about where they are now, about the people. The only thing about that is that these organizations are funded by these very people. So they're, it's particular if there's some of them are 501c3s,
Exactly. I was going to say the same thing.
So certain
Keisha and
things
I spoke about this too. I got an answer for this.
Oh no,
because
right. Well, it's not an answer. I mean, we just having a conversation. But
no, not an answer. I just got my rebuttal prepared.
Right.
But go ahead.
Because these are one of the reasons why they don't. Because some of the continental Africans that I talk to always reiterate what Brother Blacksmith said. When they get here, they're told to stay away from the Americans that are here. And sad to say, sometimes look at our conditions. Because there's some of our neighborhoods that I won't go in, and these organizations got to boast themselves as the savior to this newly migrated group. So we're going to give you employment, we're going to give you food, just stay out of trouble, and you can have these things, because they're so that this is a land of opportunity. Not that the people here were deprived of opportunities and opportunities were snatched from them. This is why you may see the poverty you see, or they respond the way they do. That part is not incorporated in the conversation, because many people in these organizations don't have an understanding of what the Black American experience has been on this soil. So I've spoken to people from the Caribbean and people from the continent, why Black Americans don't do this, why y'all don't do that, and they don't understand everything that they come here looking for. Black Americans already had it. It has been stolen from us. We've seen that there were tons of massacres, not fights, not riots, massacres, which means multiple people were murdered. Of course, we talk about the Black Wall Street. We talk about Rosewood, Durham, North Carolina. Like all of these things, everybody come looking for, we had, but they were snatched from us because we were operating independently. Now, many immigrants that come here look to migrate into the system. They're not looking for quote unquote independence. And this is why the organizations won't let them know what the real deal is, because they're selling you can be a part of this quote unquote American dream until you get an Amadou Diallo and the likes,
right,
where you get
right. But hold on one second. So what I wanted to say is that most of these people are fleeing their home country where they were massacred too. Right? And they're coming in here, and I can guarantee you organizations, a lot of them don't know. But
that's what
it is responsibility of our folks, us who are aware and know where these organizations are, to help them understand that you can line item a section out. You can function, because all companies do this. All big businesses do this. They have their employment part, they have their for-profit part, and they have their non-profit part. You can line item a section where you're not getting any funds from anywhere, and it operates correctly. You can get 25 cents from each one of your members that you're helping to donate into this bucket just for this opportunity, for this understanding, because you need it. You don't want another Amadou Diallo or that new young man that was assassinated a few months back from somewhere in the middle states. But he wasn't here for a year yet, and he was assassinated, driving a car, moving around in the state as he thought he could, because no one gave him just a little foundation, like, oh, there was a massacre over there? Well, let me tell you about these 5 massacres over here and what they did to those people and how they stole from those people. I think we have so much common ground, but we don't look at it as common ground. And that's our biggest problem. We think you're better because you have this, that, and the third, and you're glorified on television. You're glorified with these leased cars and these beautiful outfits and these fake hair and everything looking what they call beautiful. That's our biggest problem. We have a difficulty to look at the state as a flat state, or like those flat earth theory people, right? It it can be just very flat if you just look at it. In this same, you had conflict here, there's conflict here too. There's nowhere that there is no conflict. But for some reason, my plight was so big, I had to escape it. But where do people here get to escape to? Nobody gets to escape nowhere. People have to sit and fight. So at one point, we have to stand our ground and fight where we are. You know, my parents, you know, they didn't escape, but they come for, oh, they have better jobs. I don't have to work for Duvalier's government, right? Because that was the major opportunity in Haiti. You're either getting a government job or you're not getting a government job. And a lot of people did not want to work under that dictatorship. And that's part of, like, we'll talk about the long history of Haiti, but there's a really good history of Haiti under Duvalier and what he did to those people that isn't discussed. And that's really interesting because the censorship that goes on, my mother doesn't know. Oh, I don't know about Malcolm X until I come here. Maybe Martin Luther King, you know? It had to be underground networks of people that is talking about progression. But most people that come here in America in the 60s and in the 70s, up to 85, they know nothing about any of American history. Anything.
Well, Marcia, this is what I always say when we have these kind of conversations. In my opinion, when we're dealing with the masses of our people, remember, regardless of the dynamic, 95% of the time we're dealing with the 85% and the 5%. So in an event where somebody's a recent immigrant, 85% of the people don't really give a F. The other 10 are controlling the 85, and the 5% is the ones doing what you're doing right now as we speak. That's where I'm looking at it from.
Well, I think those who, because a lot of them don't seek out their own kinds to help them. Those who are seeking out their own kind to assist them in getting their right paperwork in order, those are the ones that you speak to. Because there is a greater interest. There might not be an interest in the society life, the social life, but there is an economic push for them. And they're trying to do that economic push in a particular way. Those are the people that you work with. And even if you don't work with them, work with their children. Because again, it's not for us. We're so busy working within amongst ourselves, and too many of our age group, our contemporaries, don't really care. They don't care. So we have to speak.
What do you say to those that say, I want my pie in the sky now? Why my children get to reap the benefit? Why I got to wait? I want mine. I mean, that's a real mindset.
No. I hear you. I'll say you're sad because you're going to die. So when you die, what's going to happen to your pie? If your child doesn't have the right information to bake another pie, no, you want your child to live on that same pie. They don't even know how to slice the pie. You're not giving them anything to push them forward and be the best that they can be. All you're thinking about, get your Harvard education, get your, Stanford education, whatever university you want them to go to with a big title on it. And you think that's success? That's absolutely not success.
Tad is in nap. Tad is taking a nap.
Keisha.
Yes, sir.
He gonna be banned to the show he do on Wednesdays only.
Let me tell you something. I got it for Tad. Listen. Don't you worry. Don't you worry, Black. Don't you worry. He's on top.
And what does the pass?
Because I know my brother was burning the candle at both ends. So I'm gonna give him a pass today. That's all.
What does the pie look like?
Regulate him, but Ashe is on assignment tonight, so we're gonna let Dad do his thing. He get a little freedom tonight. But this is it.
Yeah, usually once a show they get into it some kind of way, some kind of how. Usually once a show.
I'm saving it all for when Ashe get back.
See what I'm talking about? You see what I did with Marcia? You see what I'm talking about? See what I'm talking about?
You're having a good time.
I'm telling you.
Look,
You
Blacksmith said, as long as we ain't jumping on him, he don't care. With his
But what
solar
does the
flares
pie
and
in
his
the sky
underground
look like,
time
Chad?
machines and being from the Bronx. Blacksmith said,
Chad,
as
what
long as
does
they ain't bothering me, he don't care.
Ask your question, Marcia.
What does your pie in the sky look like?
Who, mine?
Yeah, when they say that, what does their pie in the sky look like?
I don't know. I guess they waiting for Jesus. Me, I like sweet potato pie.
Well,
That's my
you
thing.
are your Jesus.
No peach
We
cobbler.
all are
for
the
you
Jesus.
either. You see
Say that again.
He was craving some peach cobbler, but he ain't getting that either.
But no, on a serious note, though, and Sister Keisha, I'm sure you can attest, a lot of our people are like, I mean, we here every Thursday. And shout out to our audience, everybody who tunes in with us, get this information. Sometimes we got to laugh to keep from crying. But the fact of the matter is there are a lot of people running around with their head in the sky, not doing what you're instructing and suggesting, Sister Marcia. We have to fight for those coming behind us. That's one of the reasons I came into the movement, because I said I'd be damned if my grandchildren have to fight a fight that I know I'm built for, that I know I'm intelligently, mentally, spiritually, and physically structured for this fight. I just am. So I would be a big coward to let my children have to fight this fight. However, and you was bringing up a lot of good points. And one of the things I was saying is that sometimes when we tell our people what's going on, what's coming down the pipeline through the enemy, through their strategies and modes of operation, the thing that used to get me when people say, oh, they can't do that. They can't do that. I'm like, what the hell make you think they can't? When they literally stole land and stole a whole group of people to work the land. So what the hell can't they do? With no repercussions. No major repercussions. Because it's not like we didn't resist and bust some heads and but to the point that it made a significant turnaround because their system is still in place. They just loosened the reins on us a little bit from our resistance. Because if they had it their way, we still be in the fields during these solar flares right now, picking cotton and tobacco while their kids is playing on TikTok. We would be in the fields if they had it their way. But because of our resistance.
But wait a minute. They wouldn't have a TikTok. They wouldn't have the internet because, again, it's our brainchild. It's our forefathers that gave them certain platforms.
They say, Negro, build me the internet.
No, he wouldn't have had the freedom. He or she would not have had the freedom to think like that. He would have been thinking about other things, like, all of those beautiful things that Washington Carver did for us, right? Because he had the freedom. He was out there free and thinking and able to do things. Without freedom, we can't move in certain ways because we feel like we're constructed. We feel like we're in a box and we need to get out of the box that we place ourselves in. Right now,
the mindset.
Right. Malcolm says, we in the fire, boys. Fire. You want me to cut out the door for you and let other people go out the door and you standing back like, oh, is it burning? Should I leave yet? Do I have permission? Suckers, you all have permission to leave. Now it's time to get up and leave because it's time. We're playing too much games. We're out here TikToking, having a great time and not doing what we need to do. We all have the knowledge. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just asking, should I delete my TikTok account then? I just posted some pictures this morning.
Okay, I'm gonna talk over Tad because he's going crazy right now.
She said we shouldn't be TikTok, and I'm just asking.
Well, there is TikTok and TikTok for entertainment, right? All the people doing the dances and all the, pink sauces and all of those type of things.
All TikTok is another form of social media. I'm sorry, Keisha. Go ahead. Say that again.
I'm talking to Tad. I'm telling your father. That's what I'm saying. So I'm showing him this clip, and I'm telling him. That's what I'm saying. I'm
He
telling.
gonna put me on punishment.
I'm telling.
I want to address something Marcia said real quick. As far as George Washington Carver, something I found out a few years ago that really freaked me out. He was adopted by a white couple, and they had daughters. I think he was a little older than them, and they said in order for him not to rape them or have consensual
They took
sex.
his Johnny off.
Yeah, man, I think I hated people of that sort like a little more just when I found that out. Like, wow. So
But
in a way,
and that's what I'm saying. These people still exist. This mindset still exists. This promotion of homosexuality has our young people voluntarily castrating themselves. That's why I joke a lot, because sometimes you really gotta laugh to keep from crying because people don't realize how diabolical these people are. So to your point, Blacksmith, right? You see, when you put it in that context, it sounds extreme, right? But look how we celebrate Dwayne Wade's son and Magic Johnson's son and everybody else who voluntarily castrates themselves now.
Because they're not thinking of the future. They're not thinking that these two men,
thinking of the now.
Right. These two men could have fathered 4 other boys. My generation of females have no men. Most of our men ended up in jail. They coming out, they all broken and in different types of stages of life.
And liking boys.
And so now we just lost out an opportunity of 2 men fathering 4 male children for our future generation. No, this doesn't work well. And then there is no other society like the Black people on this globe. Because whatever they see, another, like they're looking at America, throughout the whole diaspora, they're looking at America, right? All these people are going to follow in suit 20 years from now, 10 years from now, maybe even 8 years from now, because time is moving so fast. You're going to see those little boys that are dancing now for us on the Instagrammy. They're all going to turn out to be chi-chis.
Sugar booty.
They're going to be go-go dancers.
What are we going to do? Because nobody is over there giving them information. Nobody is like, not even over there, but over here. Man the F up. Be men. Move forward as men. Don't be screwed up individuals. People are not doing that. People are not saying that. People don't even care. They're just about this moment. This moment right now. That's all.
Not to cut your wisdom, but that's what Tad and the guys were talking about on the podcast last night, dealing with that mental trauma. Because if they don't, the jig is up. I'm sorry. I have to say that. If it's not repaired, the jig is up.
Yep.
It's over. And that's why I said the 3 generations after us, I'm sorry, they aren't the best we produce.
No. And especially with this current divide we have, this current gender divide that we have, and I was explaining it to somebody recently. Even when we were with Straight Black Pride, I was like, it wasn't just about fighting homosexuality per se, because it wasn't to fight people that were gay. It was to fight the promotion of homosexuality to our young people and the division of the Black family. Because now it's not even so much of the alternative lifestyle. You can't even get heterosexual men and heterosexual women to come together on one accord and date accordingly and talk about a future together, because everything is about what's popping right now, to Marcia's point. What's the now? Why sisters right now don't do this? Why brothers right now don't do that? Oh, brothers should pay all the bills and sisters should feed me before she feed her kids. And like the conversation has sunk into an all-time low. And I challenge everybody to please, it's on YouTube for free. Visit Wesley Snipes' production of Dr. John Henry Clark's autobiography, A Great Mighty Walk. Yes, Dr. Clark said we should not be warring with one another. We cannot win this war with half the army. Our men is one half, our women are the other half. And we can't win this war fighting each other. That's why I always say, and I'm gonna give you the mic, Marcia, but I always tell people I am not involved in no organization where a sister is not in leadership. And I am a heterosexual male, 100% testosterone driven, but I know the value of a woman to bring the balance to whatever it is we're gonna do. Whatever it is we're gonna do. If you want it done right, if you want it done effectively, if you want it done quickly, you have to incorporate sisters. That's just a fact. And it's not up for debate. But I'm sorry. Go ahead, Marcia.
No, sorry. All I was going to say is that the whole idea of us working together, or these gender divides that they have, or all of these conversations, or she should be at home taking care of the children and this and that. And I'm like, I'm not from this country, right? Well, I'm born here, right? But everything that I knew growing up, everything that I was taught growing up was from a different ideology. And so a lot of the things that I know about America is through literature or through an elder that I found in the streets one day who is so kind to me and is willing to teach me about the American experience, the old America. Here's what to read and this and that. So I'm very fortunate like that I've been able to walk through spaces and have people usher me in certain directions. I say all this because you're saying, oh, the woman should be at home taking care of the children and the man is out working. Okay, fine. That's a great idea. But from my readings, the woman wasn't just at home taking care of the children. She was still working within the community. She was still building something around the legacy for her family. She wasn't just, at home. And they're just like, oh, yeah, she's going to be at home. She's going to be cleaning the house. And, no pun intended, children are beautiful. But you can't be at home with your child all the time. You need your own mental space. Children are beautiful, but they also need some time away from you. And I get it. Like these daycare center, that kinder care place where the little girl is with a shitty dress all day. That's kind of crazy too. But you work on finding great environments for your family. You work on creating a network within your family. In my household, there was always someone in my home. I never walked these streets without anyone not being in my home. No matter what time I came back, and best to believe, this little Haitian girl was not allowed to be out in these streets past 10 o'clock. But no matter what time I came home, there was always someone in my home. And when I tell other people that, they're like, oh no, I didn't see my mother until maybe the next morning. I'm like, wow. And I feel like that's part of the great divide that they created. Having people feel that everyone needs to have their individual household. Everyone needs to be in separate quarters and separate this and everything so divided. When you live together, when you have a network of a family that's in the same household, things are done better. And we could look outside many communities here in New York. The Hindus have 14 people living in one big house. They build up a mansion and all 14 people are living there. Why is it such a problem? Because I have my own individual idea. You have your own individual idea. We're not thinking like a family. We're not thinking like we love one another. Oh, that's my brother. I hate him. I can't stand him. That person needs to go somewhere. I'm leaving. That's your brother. Figure out a way to work it out. Figure out something. Figure out a balance. But nobody walks in these streets. These streets.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy out here today.
Yeah, but
all I'm saying is you can't live here. That's all I'm the older I get, the less patience I have, and you can't roost here. I'm telling you now. Now I will help you, but you can't live here.
Marcia, don't forget that I told you other cultures come here with a culture intact, even if it's dysfunctional. most African Americans, I can speak to that experience because I was born and raised in this country, even though I spent a lot of time out of it. But the African American culture as a whole is fractured, and everybody knows that. And it's continuing, it's kept like that in perpetual motion as far as they're concerned, in order for us not to do the things we're doing now, building, so people can know these things. And hopefully, because if you got a brother that you can't stand, a sister you can't stand, a family member, whatever, you know, close family member, you know what I'm saying, and you can't stand them, you know what I'm saying, and none of y'all know your fathers or your grandfathers, where you gonna go? So now you all up on each other, and it's just total dysfunction. Everybody's drug addicts, alcoholics, and going in and out of prison all the time.
No, that's, you know, like, even within my family, right? Within my family, I have relatives, groups of relatives that adopted the American principles, right? Oh, you're going to go to this college, you're going to go buy a house somewhere else. You know, the parents already are instructing them. This is the parents' instruction, not the children. The children would kindly be somewhere else or somewhere close by, but the parents say, you're going to go to Yale. After you graduate Yale, you're going to live, you know, somewhere over there near Yale. You're going to go to this college. You're going to live over there. You're going to find a new life. You're going to do this. You're going to do that, and forget about us. And you come visit us for Thanksgiving and Christmas. And I'm like, how do you tell your child that? I witnessed my aunt telling my younger cousins this. And so funny, because they are the same age with my son, and my aunt is plotting out the lives of her children. And I'm like, why are you telling them to move away and to be so away from you? Well, that's what you have to do in America. Everybody has to leave. And so you went out and you bought a 7-bedroom house so that when they leave, what are you going to do with the house? Oh, well, I don't know. And now she's in an empty house because she sent all her children away chasing the American dream.
Wow. And that's what I was talking about, the value system. The value system. She bought into their value system.
Yeah.
And everything, you know, and it's dope right now, the New World Order, because and I always share this, what I learned, because we're getting close to 10 o'clock. The New World Order, what I've learned about it, was always based on the teachings of Anglo-Saxon and European Christians. Their fear of other white men using African spiritual practices to harness their power, to you know, get in position, whether it's the Freemasons, Rosicrucians, whoever it is, all these secret societies, use the teachings that we've had, that they've stolen, to, you know, get in positions of power. Now, for us, this is our inherent right to harness these power, whether you call it the law of attraction or manifesting, whatever you want to call it. Our ancestors have been doing it. So they're afraid of the New World Order because the paradigm shift is the power shift. As sure enough as they talk about the wealth transfer now, because there's not enough old white people to keep the money. They're dying off, and we're steady multiplying. So what's happening, everything they held dear is now coming to us. But my point was about the value system that we've learned, at least our generation, maybe the generation before us, learned that their system does not work for anybody. Go to school, go to college, get a job, get married, have children, then retire. Where is the variety? Where's the real zest and zeal in that life to really be free and creative? Something you was talking about earlier, you know, being free, just letting your mind wander and create things. That don't exist in this paradigm of go to school, get a job, go to college, get married, have children, rent, wash, rinse, repeat. There's no room for creativity. There's no room for real life. So you, in essence, become a robot or a drone for whoever is in power, giving you these instructions, telling you this is the quote unquote value. Right. And now their reign is coming to an end. It's coming to an end. So they're selling fear and panic to everybody. But those of us who are intelligent could read the writings on the wall, because our ancestors have written on the wall in stone. So this cannot be changed. We know
Right.
it's our time again. We're just
Right.
trying to wake our people up and let them
Right.
know that, yo,
But
we are free. Free your mind, your ass will follow. We are
sometimes,
free.
sometimes we might be wasting our time trying to wake up so many people because we're still just chit-chatting instead of starting to apply some work.
Not
Starting
me,
to
sister.
create
I'm
some.
opening an abandoned school, sister, and I'm gonna need some donations.
Stop.
I'm just saying, don't
Stop.
nobody do more than me in this
After this is
Pan-African
over,
community.
he better go to bed. I'll tell you that now.
Hey,
I
Keisha.
text Dad in an hour and he respond, he in the bed. I'm calling his father. He getting in trouble.
Hey, Keisha. Keisha, with that last comment, next
Yes,
week
sir.
that green tag better say Dr. Tag Johnson.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
King Kong
I
ain't
hate
got nothing on
Yo,
me.
I hate y'all. But any which way, instead of chit-chatting and not working, we need to work more. We need to put some applications down. You know, I praise a lot of the people that I read and I understand or I've gotten understanding from. But the unfortunate thing is that no application was put in place. It was just the material there. And I think it's our job to now starting to place in applications. We have all this information. A lot of us are well read, but a lot of us are not well practiced,
I put in
myself
my application
included.
at Walmart today, so I don't know what you talking about. But I put in my application.
Sister Marcia, can I address that, what you just said a second ago?
Sure.
Okay, now, this is something that is a sore spot for me because like yourself, I'm well-read as well, and I've met a lot of the people as a result of going to UAM and that we're talking about, you know, that were relevant 15, 20 years ago. Most of them passed on by now. But what I'm saying is this. Don't ever forget inside of the dynamic of Black history, in particular to America, almost all of our best have been killed when they were in the
Prime of
situation.
their life.
I'm going to go back again because we didn't address it because we started clowning. Can we get in touch with whoever Johnny Cochran's second in command was and see if we can revive this case?
You work on that. You on these internet streets all the time.
Okay, that's a challenge. I'm going to take it. And I'm going to report back to you when I find out some info.
Thank you.
Stop volunteering people and start doing it self.
Okay, all right. I just gave you an answer. I'm going to do that. I'm going to report back to you. And then to add in, Sister
Me,
T,
to everyone.
No, we going to work on this and then see what we can do inside the dynamic before we put it out. That's what
Okay.
I'm talking about. I'm being dead serious. I'm not joking.
Nah,
right?
that's a strategy. That's right,
Yeah.
Brother Black.
Exactly.
That's a strategy. You know, we can't tell everybody everything. Some of our folks are just out to sabotage. I mean, look, we on a public platform right now, and I hear what you're saying, Sister Marcia, but you know, you've been in this movement for years. I mean, the application has been applied. All of us are part of an organization. All of us have organized. All of us have efforts in our community and outside of the country. I don't know what else to do except sit here and make people happy. That's it. I'm gonna give you some information, and I want your Black self to smile, because unfortunately, we always selling fear, and we're often fear mongering. You know this in this movement. I get it. Our situation is serious, but we do have to find time to laugh and smile. Because if you leave it to these people, this heart disease, this hypertension, this high blood pressure is killing our people too. And we got enough stress than to have a quote unquote leader come and stress us some more. Let me tell you what the white man did today, brothers and sisters. He gonna
stop.
No, I'm dead serious, because now we all like this.
Meanwhile, they pushing that and become dictators.
That's right. That's right.
And we need to. And we need to talk about dictators, right? That's another future conversation on
the next
how
episode,
it works and how it doesn't work.
So you better be back here next week, Marcia.
Oh,
So
snap.
we can continue that, but I want
No
our people
problem.
to walk away with this understanding as far as our fight for freedom and reparations is concerned, that everybody must fight on all fronts. Nobody gets a free pass. And if you want a free pass, we're going to out you for who you are. And you can stay over there. So when it all goes down, be coming for you first. Off with your head. Be
Yeah.
coming for you first.
Stay with your drinks and your smokes and everything. Keep that
There
over
you
there.
go. Keep it over there. Keep it over
Or
there.
even, you know what? Even
Right.
one last thing, sis. Even what? You don't want to fight? Just put in your 25 cents and walk out the door. That's all. Because the fight needs coins and you don't want to be a part of it, just drop it and leave. That's it. What's that going to kill you? You can't drink for one night? It's all right. It's just a drink. You'll be able to drink tomorrow, or you'll have a friend that's going to have a big enough pocket to make sure that you drink. So
I'll drink to that.
Right.
Me too. Me too. I'm about to get
me
mine.
three. Cheers, family.
That's right.
I'm gonna get it when I get off. But
And Sister Marcia, I don't know what we're gonna do with a quarter, because a quarter can't buy you 25 cents worth of candy no more. Coins.
My God, I was saying a quarter, but you could place any value. You could place
I
any
get real
amount of
value.
zeros behind it. Listen, everybody should have played the mega at 1.1 billion, and we'd be straight, right? If we win
See,
the
that's
mega,
what they
we'd be
want
all
us to
straight.
think, my sister. Do you know a black man invented the lottery, sister?
I know.
Yeah, they stole that from us.
and the white man gonna win on Friday.
Yeah.
All of y'all contributing to the mega millions, dummy.
That's right.
It's gonna be a
Hey.
white man in a hick town nobody ever heard of.
That's
Right?
Named Jebediah.
When the lotto was in Africa, they called it the ghetto.
Facts. So again, family, we thank you all for tuning in with us. Hope that you be black again right here on the Brooklyn Bridge where it goes down. We're going to continue this conversation. So much we didn't uncover because we have to get to the root cause. And there is an easy solution, very easy solution. We'll talk about it all next week for part 2 of the discussion on reparations. Who should fight for it and who should get it and who should be excluded. My brothers and sisters, we're going to start with Sister Marcia. Your last thoughts and comments until next week.
Thank you again, Third Black Talk, for having me. This was real fun. I will appreciate coming back again and just, chit-chatting and trying to develop the master plan, as they say, So I wish everyone who's listening, I hope you found some information that you want to learn from or build from or chime in one of us on this platform to get some more information. But like my new tagline is, may time flourish, because time is on our side. Let's get it.
I love it.
Brother Black, your final thoughts and comments.
Yeah, Tad, thank you for all the humor today, brother. I'm really appreciating it, man. I'm bouncing off of you, so thank you, man, and let's continue that. I ain't got much to say. I'm gonna tell y'all, love and respect each other. We winning, and one thing we didn't talk about today that in this whole conversation, as far as reparations and generally our future as Black people all over the world, wherever you're listening from, is the cosmos and the things that I talk about with the big flash that's supposed to come and stuff like that. When that happens, things are going to get better, and we're going to live until when we want to. So if you are living like Sister Marcia said a few minutes ago, and weighing your heart against that feather, and your heart is lighter than it, I don't think you got anything to worry about. Y'all know me for long enough. Sister Keisha can attest to how long I've been doing this, and even been doing it before I met you. So I'm not worried about mine, and I'm pretty sure y'all doing the same thing. Keep doing what you do. Fight the fight until there ain't no more fight left, and let's see each other in paradise. My name is Flavius Jones on Facebook. I'm Blacksmith to y'all out here who watching this show or watching the recording at a later time, hit me up as Flavius Jones on Facebook. I got books on sale. I'm about to come back with my blog, probably in to celebrate Black August. I don't know the name of it yet or anything like that, but probably next week or in the next 2 weeks, I have it up, and then I'll let y'all know what it's about. Until then, Blacksmith out. Peace and love. Tad O. Get it, get it.
All right, family. It's that time again. We definitely want to thank everybody who tuned in with us tonight. Of course, I told a lot of jokes tonight. We know every joke got a grain of truth. And I do that because sometimes these are our people positions, and I want them to really hear what they sound like. That sometimes when we hold that position, when we talk about a serious issue that we deal with, you have to laugh at them, and you have to laugh at it. However, family, hopefully you were inspired by what you heard tonight. So it's your turn to go out and inspire others. I'm so happy to see my sister Marcia. We haven't seen each other or spoken so long. Of course, it's always a pleasure, my brother Blacksmith, and I love my sister Keisha to life. So, audience, and we definitely appreciate y'all. So y'all stay up, stay blessed, stay true. Remember, no matter how hard things may seem right now, there's always better days ahead. And please, please, please look up and look out for the OG Wisdom Podcast. Sister Keisha.
Yes, indeed. Please follow OG Wisdom Podcast on Instagram and on Facebook. Also follow Brother Flavius Jones on Facebook, and you can always catch up with Sister Marcia and what she's doing. And shout out to Africans on the Rise. You know what I'm saying? We got that. We forgot that, Sister Marcia. We can't leave that out.
We can't leave that out. Thank you, sis.
This weekend, from 2 to 6 p.m., a live Zoom honoring the great Dr. John Henry Clark. You have Michael Duncan. Shout out to Brother Michael Duncan. Anthony Browder, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, Dr. Marimba Ani, Dr. Wade Nobles, Dr. Adelaide Sanford, Professor James Small, Dr. Tyreen Wright, Brother Shep, Brother Ray Ray, Mike Grace, and myself will be honoring Dr. John Henry Clark. So that's a lineup for you.
Yes.
A lineup for you. Family, we appreciate y'all meeting us right here on the Brooklyn Bridge. Tell somebody to tell somebody. It goes down. Before we leave, as we close out, here was my position and my stance. Good night, family.
Essentially, outlaws were forgiven.
Right.
So that's the context of the act that the United States tried to make right for what happened to folks of Japanese heritage during World War II. We have a question here.
You mentioned that, it would take more conversation, more study to figure out exactly where we can allocate reparations from. But Israel didn't have to do that. So why do we have to do that? And when you mention Conyers' 1984 initiation of the reparations study, that's ridiculous. All these years and you're still talking, and now Sheila Jackson Lee picks it up? No more conversation. There's a reason why you have over 20 candidates on the Democratic Party. Is because they lost their black base, and we are finished. We are done, and we will get ours by hook or crook, as Malcolm said, by any means necessary. I don't want to hear about what Ta-Nehisi Coates is talking about during former President Barack Obama's presidency. We are clear in that. Those two presidencies were a presidency for the LGBTQ, had nothing to do with African people, although we put him in office 98%, twice. So then I say to you Africans who are in the room, are you still going to take lip service, or are we going to rightfully take what is ours? You cannot mellow out racism. White supremacy invests over $1 trillion into itself yearly. There is no way we can dilly-dally with that at all. You are who you are. Be what you are. But we are coming into our own. And the new voices of independent black media and others are fed up. So either you're on the same page with us, or we're going to run you over. I don't want to hear about institutions that will help us to educate ourselves a little bit better, to work within a white supremacist system. That no longer works. I know my heritage. I have certificates from 2 uncles who fought for our freedom during the American Civil War. My uncles did that. Lincoln didn't give us nothing. Those black men and women fought for our freedom. 2 of my great-great-grandparents owned speakeasies right here in Brooklyn before the Irish came and rioted and took it from them. I'm clear on who my people are. I am clear on my heritage, and I want what's mine by hook or crook.
So, Reverend, I know that you have talked about what that would look like in a form of reparations that also includes, as we just heard about, an independent media that is not centered on stories of othering people of color. What else would be encompassing this idea of reparations, by hook or by crook?